The story starts with Sung, a martial arts professional, giving a stunning display of his skills on a busy street. The crowd was mesmerized by his talent, especially a small boy enjoying a popsicle. Sung kindly accepted the boy's offer to share his treat, only to be playfully faked out at the last second. The lighthearted moment shattered when a ruthless gang, clearly on the hunt for trouble, came charging through, chasing a terrified businessman. One of the thugs, armed with a club, accidentally collided with the little boy, knocking his popsicle to the ground and crushing it underfoot. Seeing this injustice, Sung didn't hesitate. He launched himself into the fight, attacking them fiercely and showing no mercy. He hit one man so hard he was sent flying 10 meters back. The businessman, Lee, watched in stunned silence as the criminals were instantly put down. Lee wanted to thank Sung for the rescue, offering him 2 stacks of cash, but Sung refused the money and simply walked away, concerned only with checking on the little boy.
But the master had denied John that dream. After being expelled, John started living only on the streets. He decided to move on with his life and see what he can make of himself, eventually going to work for Fufu. Fufu is a man said to be extremely dangerous and obsessed with power. He is so cold-hearted that he keeps a tiger as a pet in his house. Anyone who tried to betray him was killed and fed to the tiger. The next day, John brought Sung to his security company headquarters. The place specialized in training people to turn them into elite bodyguards and security personnel. John had prepared his strongest guards for Lee to select a personal bodyguard, but Lee didn't seem impressed by any of them. Then suddenly, he heard a dog barking. It turned out Sung was playing with a dog that he had previously rescued. Lee then decisively told John, "I want Sung to be my bodyguard." John went and spoke with Sung, offering him the position of Lee's personal protector, and Sung agreed immediately without hesitation. As they drove in Lee's car toward his mansion, Lee told Sung they first had to take care of a mission. He explained that his daughter, Faye, is a wild spirit who loves to party and is constantly getting into trouble. Indeed, when they arrived at the nightclub she was at, they found her in a highly intoxicated state. When 2 guys approached her, she smashed the bottle she was holding on them and struck them. The guys got angry and grabbed her to kidnap her. Lee intervened at the last moment, but Sung pulled her away from them. Sung's intervention was serious. He went and beat them up badly.
They arrived at Lee's mansion. The next day, Faye woke up having absolutely no memory of what happened the night before. She was walking around the house normally until she saw Sung sitting in the living room with his legs stretched out. She immediately turned to her father to complain about this tramp being inside their house, but he did not answer her. She sat down next to him and offered him money, even more money than her father offered, to leave the house, saying, "Get away from me and leave the house. I don't want anyone guarding me." But it was useless. It was as if she was talking to a stone. She kept arguing with him, but none of her plans or attempts worked. Frustrated, she went and grabbed a gun, aiming it at him, threatening him to leave. Still nothing. He remained indifferent, ignoring her threats and maintaining his composure. Faye finally lost her temper. At last, Sung spoke, telling her, "I know a lot about you. I know you are reckless and you don't think about the consequences of what you do. I am here to protect you, whether you like it or not." Faye had no choice but to currently accept the situation. They got into her car so she could go shopping. Sung sat next to her because he did not know how to drive. She teased him, saying, "Oh, a bodyguard who doesn't know how to drive." Sung simply told her to focus on the road. When they arrived at the location, they saw some people bullying and hitting a girl. Faye did not like that at all and decided to intervene to defend her. She walked up to the ringleader and slapped him. Immediately, the men started chasing her. She ran toward Sung, asking him for help. But as usual, Sung didn't make a move. He told her, "I will help you, yes, but only if you apologize to me." Faye kept running until she was cornered. She had no choice but to come back and sincerely apologize to him. Immediately, Sung intervened. He remained calm, grabbed the ringleader and lifted him up, threatening to throw him from the height they were at. He commanded, "Confess what you did, or I will throw you from here." The thug, terrified, immediately confessed everything and begged for forgiveness. Later that night, Sung woke up to the sound of a bell. It turned out he had set up traps all over the house so that he would be alerted if anyone tried to enter. The traps were triggered when some criminals attempted to break into the house. The criminals realized that the house was trapped and decided to retreat, planning to return the next day. The following day, Faye went to eat at a restaurant. Imagine, Sung was watching her so closely that he even paid attention to the drink the waitress poured for her. Faye was about to drink it when Sung quickly stopped her, saying, "Faye, don't drink from that." Suddenly, a man entered the restaurant and came up to them. He claimed that the drink was safe and offered to prove it by drinking from it himself. Sung realized he had misunderstood the situation. Faye was furious at Sung for this and walked into the restroom. She started yelling at him from inside. Sung entered and quickly grabbed her to take her back home. She kept shouting at him, begging, "For the love of God, leave me alone!" Suddenly, 3 cars surrounded Sung in the middle of the street. Their goal was to distract Sung so the rest of the gang could kidnap Faye, and the plan succeeded. Sung was surrounded by 3 of the gang members, and he immediately went into full attack mode, beating them fiercely until they were all defeated. He then started running after the car where Faye was being held. He began taking shortcuts, jumping from here and there, until he leapt directly from the top of a bridge onto the car. The driver tried everything to shake him off the car, driving wildly. After several attempts, he finally managed to knock Sung off the vehicle. But Sung was determined and refused to give up. He ran, leaping from rooftop to rooftop quickly, like a gecko, until he finally stood right in front of the car. The driver thought he would hit Sung and simply continue driving, but Sung came running, smashed the glass, got inside, beat the criminal badly, and dragged him out of the car, taking Faye out with him. The remaining members of the gang heard the sound of the police sirens approaching and decided to retreat immediately. That night, Sung and Faye sat together. Sung explained that he was uncomfortable with the waitress at the restaurant earlier. He said, "Even if the gang members disguise themselves, I know them and I know all their tricks. Besides, it was obvious just from her hands that she was a fighter. You must know that body language never changes." Faye was impressed by his keen observation and thanked him for rescuing her. She told him, "I had many bodyguards when I was younger, and I hated all of them because I couldn't enjoy any privacy. But I know that you are not like the other guards."
Before sleeping, Faye went to look at her family photo. Significantly, she had removed her father's face from the picture. She could not stand her father and missed her moto dearly, who had passed away years ago. Meanwhile, Sung was resting and analyzing the clothes of the thugs who kidnapped Faye. He noticed that one of them, who wore a mask, had a unique ring. Later, he realized that John's assistant was wearing the exact same kind of ring. Sung immediately knew that the men following them were John's men. Sung drifted into his memories, returning to a time when he was a young boy living alone in the forest. He was covered in bruises and suffering greatly, feeling he could no longer survive. The great master found him by chance, took him in, and adopted him. He taught him everything about Kung Fu, emphasizing that Kung Fu is not just about fighting, but a way of life, and that these skills must be used wisely. Sung learned 108 different kicks, a number only a very small number of people in the world had mastered. John, who was already living with the master, got to know Sung and they trained together, becoming like brothers. The next day, John took Sung to the new company headquarters and told him, "I want you to leave your mission of protecting Faye because I want to teach my guards the iron kick." Sung refused, saying, "Give me one reason why I should agree." John angrily replied, "You have to listen to me and follow my orders exactly." Sung responded, "Are you crazy? I won't abandon anyone's protection for your sake." John became enraged, revealing his true colors, and told him that success requires sacrifice. He then lunged at Sung and started attacking him. Sung remained defensive, only blocking John's attacks and defending himself. He didn't want to hit or hurt John. But then he realized that this was not the brother he grew up with, but rather a selfish person consumed by jealousy. John had no choice but to fight back seriously. A huge fight broke out between them, but it was clear that Sung was on a much higher level, as he had been training relentlessly since their separation. Sung managed to land a decisive iron kick that knocked John to the ground. Feeling humiliated, John realized that he couldn't defeat him. He retreated, saying, "From today, you are no longer my brother," and left. After that, Sung got into the car with Fei and began contemplating what his brother had said about success requiring sacrifice. What surprised him even more was that Fei's father had said the exact same thing earlier. Following this, Sung decided to spend a few days with Fei by the sea. He told her, "You are currently in danger, and we need to get away from the city. I decided to bring you here so we can relax, and at the same time I can think. I will wait here."
I will wait for you here. With the way Fei was talking and responding to him, it was clear she no longer hated him. She was starting to agree with his thoughts. They decided to stay there to think things through and plan their next move. Fei noticed the iron-weighted shoes Sung was wearing and asked about them. He replied that they were part of his training, with each shoe weighing 25 kilograms, and he had been wearing them constantly for 8 years. Fei asked him to teach her some kung fu techniques, and Sung did not refuse her. In return, she would teach him how to drive a car. As time passed, their relationship became much better. We return to Jung, who, after being expelled by the Great Master, spent many years on the streets. He constantly got into fights. One day, he fought with Fu Fu's men. Since Jung was well trained from his childhood, he quickly defeated them all. Fu Fu was impressed by his fighting style, decided to adopt him and treat him like a son. Since then, Jung became Fu Fu's right-hand man, executing every order given to him. Meanwhile, Jung kidnapped Li under Fu Fu's orders. It was revealed that Fu Fu had killed Li's wife, Fei's mother, years ago, and knew that Li wanted revenge. Li had spent years gathering evidence against Fu Fu to turn him over to the police, but Fu Fu anticipated his plan and sent Jung to capture him before he could reach the authorities. Fu Fu told Li that he would let him watch his daughter Fei die in front of him. Before being captured, Li had given Sung an envelope, instructing him that if he ever disappeared, Sung must give the envelope to Fei, as the truth must eventually be revealed. Jung soon managed to locate Sung and Fei. Before going to them, he decided to train his men so they could withstand Sung. He fought all his men, defeating them one by one, telling them, "You are not ready to fight Sung yet." He then gave them chains and instructed them on how to use them to overpower Sung. Jung's men then headed to the beach where Sung and Fei were. Sung, however, had figured out their tricks and escaped with Fei into the forest. Jung's men still managed to find them. Sung fought ruthlessly, silencing everyone who came near him. Because the enemies were too numerous, the gang eventually managed to grab Fei. Sung managed to defeat all the men surrounding him, but he saw the others taking Fei towards a warehouse. He ran and followed them inside. As soon as he moved, he fell into a trap, and the chains bound his legs. One man charged at him, and Sung knocked him out with a single kick. Another came at him with a sword, and Sung hit him with an iron kick, sending him crashing to the ground. Sung was brutally defeating every fighter who approached him. Suddenly, a huge thug appeared. He grabbed Jung by the neck and slammed him to the ground, stomping on him. Sung got angry and hit the giant with the iron kick, but it had no effect on him. More of Fu Fu's fighters arrived, surrounding him, but he kept fighting back, determined to defeat them all. However, the sheer number of enemies overwhelmed him. Sung finally fell. The large thug pulled him by the chain on his leg and started dragging and whipping him against the ground. The other fighters grabbed the remaining chains and tied him down. They descended upon him, beating him fiercely, but even then, Sung did not surrender.
Sung kept fighting until the last ounce of strength he had. He managed to endure even more. He saw Fei tied up in front of him and kept his eyes on her until the big thug hit him on the head and threw him far away. Although Sung's legs were tied and he took a severe beating, he refused to fall easily. He got back up, hitting them back. Another man with 2 swords charged at him. The thug grabbed Sung again and threw him onto a car, which then crashed into a wall. Sung the lion was tired but overpowered. John's men dragged him along the ground. Sung woke up to the sound of Fei crying.
Every time he tried to get up and reach her, they would hit him, and he would fall again. Faye was forced to watch what was happening to Sung. John saw the scene and began to recall his memories with Sung, but he hardened his heart and decided to follow his master's orders. He walked up to Sung and hit him in the chest, throwing him into a hole. His men began throwing dirt on him to bury him alive. They assumed he was dead. A little later, after they left, Sung began to move and climbed out of the grave covered in blood and mud. He let out a yell, vowing revenge on John and promising to rescue Faye. After returning to Faye's house, Sung checked the envelope Lee had given him. He found a cassette tape inside. He played the video, which showed Lee saying that he had liver cancer and didn't have much time left. Lee stated, "Before I die, I want to see justice served and the man who killed my wife punished. I hope Sung rescues Faye, as I was planning for her to leave the country, go to France, and start a new life away from all this trouble." Sung understood that Lee had been captured and knew the identity of the gang John was dealing with. Sung decided to seek justice for Lee and rescue Faye. Without hesitation, he smashed the iron-weighted shoes he had worn for 8 years. Then he cut his hair and headed to John's company headquarters. Sung was transformed. He put on glasses and looked like a new man, unrecognizable. John's guards were waiting for him. Without delay, Sung launched into them. His movement was now much faster because he had removed the shoes, which weighed 50 kilograms combined. He took them down one after the other, using the 108 kicks he learned from the great master. He took down about 20 men instantly. More men appeared carrying metal shields, but to Sung they meant nothing. He crushed both the men and their shields. After finishing with all the guards, he continued his path to John. By the door, he encountered a man carrying Chinese guitars. Sung quickly finished him off, taking his fingers to use them to open the door. Inside, the group who had buried him was waiting. The man who had been buried was not the man who walked out now. One of them charged with a sword, but Sung took her down with one blow. The large thug tried to attack John, but John hit him with 2 kicks and a blow to the neck, knocking him out cold. The next fighter charged Sung with 2 axes, but Sung planted his foot right into his stomach and continued on to John. He found Faye and Lee kept in a cage. Fufu stepped out of the shadows and challenged Sung. "I never thought you had this kind of courage." Sung replied, "It's obvious. Success requires sacrifice." Fufu stepped closer and asked Sung, "Who are you?" Sung answered, "I am the wolf you abandoned a long time ago," and showed him a tattoo on his arm. Fufu recognized him and said, "You've changed from the past." This led to the conclusion, Fufu is Sung's father. We flash back to a time when Fufu and Lee were business partners. Fufu killed Lee's wife because she was a police officer investigating him. A fortune teller had told Fufu that his son had great power, and anyone who got close to him would die. The proof was his wife's death and his failed business since Sung was born. Fufu believed the fortune teller. His men later told him that Faye and Sung were being followed by a wolf. When Fufu and his men went to check, they were shocked to find the wolf was afraid of Sung, retreating and refusing to attack. Following this, Fufu dragged Sung to the edge of a cliff and told him, "Success requires sacrifice," and decided to throw him off the cliff to ensure his success. Sung survived, however, and was later raised by the great master. Seeing his son alive, Fufu laughed and said, "If I hadn't hardened my heart towards you."
"You weren't like this before," Sung said. "I trained every day of my entire life for this moment. The only thing I thought about was revenge. It's strange how small the world is that we meet again." Fufu laughed, knowing he was cornered, and raised his gun, saying, "Show me how fast you are to dodge this bullet." Just then, John intervened, stopping the bullet with his iron hand. Fufu screamed at him, "You traitor!" John replied, "Call me whatever you want. I served you and followed your words to learn the 108 kicks, even burying my brother alive because of your orders." He turned to Sung and respectfully demanded the secrets of the 108 kicks, but Sung refused. John, enraged, decided to fight Sung face to face. John started first, hitting Sung with his iron fist. Sung fought back with several kicks, which John blocked with his hands. Fufu watched, unconcerned about who would win, as he secretly wanted them both dead. The fight continued. John landed a hook to Sung's face. Sung retaliated with a blow to John's head, and John responded with another punch to the face. Sung then delivered a crippling kick to John's knee, rendering him unable to stand. Sung had defeated him for the second time. John felt deep regret for the path he had chosen, realizing he could have learned the 108 kicks if he had treated the great master as kindly as Sung did. Fufu sensed that John was now weak and regretful, so he ordered his assistant to kill him. The assistant did so. John collapsed into Sung's arms, and with his last breaths, he told Sung, "I want you to stay alive. The legacy of the 108 kicks must not die with you. I deserve this because of the family crimes I committed." John then died. Fufu offered Sung John's place, but Sung refused. Fufu's assistant suddenly struck Sung on the left side, where the heart is, knocking him down. The assistant assumed Sung was dead, but Sung rose and quickly took him down. It turned out Sung's heart was on the right side, not the left. Sung walked up to his father, bleeding profusely, intending to kill him. His father told him, "Your mother died when she gave birth to you. Your master died, and now your brother too. Everyone you get close to dies. Now it's my turn. Go on, kill me." Sung told him, "People like you should not live in this world." Sung wanted to finish him but could not, realizing that despite everything, this was still his father. He left him and walked away. Several months later, we see Faye visiting her father's grave as he eventually died from cancer. She is now traveling to France to start the new life he had planned for her. Sung stood on the peak of the cliff he was once thrown from,